All right, this is Jamie Lee Curtis. I play Laurie Strode.
This is David Gordon Green. I'm the director and co-writer.
I'm Judy Greer, and I'm Karen Strode.
And
And
it's like
where?
it's already weird. It's already weird. But that's okay. This is the Universal logo.
It's beautiful.
It is, isn't it cool? We're lucky
Yeah.
to be a Universal movie.
I know.
But then there are going to be a bunch of other logos.
Yes.
Which we are also very
We're
excited
lucky
to be part
a
of.
part.
I believe this is the Miramax logo.
Oh, I think so.
Oh, yes.
You know, I tried to be subtle and put our company logo at the end.
You mean after the credits?
Yeah.
After the credits?
Wow.
You didn't want to be in
And then the cool Blumhouse logo.
Yeah, you know, it's just, you can
Yay, I'll
look at
go.
the pretty fancy logos, or you can just see Rough House at the end, and then
I
you know,
like.
leave them with
Yeah.
little popcorn.
I wish we had popcorn.
No one wants to hear us.
First of all, that font.
Oh my God!
What
this
is that font
so
called,
cool.
David?
It's called Halloween font.
It is, isn't it?
By the way, this was so cool. Was this in the first one? I forget. I'm so dumb.
The font?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The font's incredible, and
Well,
our,
no,
our
I
friends
know
at
it was in
Cutting
like
Edge
the first, but was it in our last
it was
one?
in our last one, yes.
Oh, I
And our
gotta
friends at
rewatch.
Cutting Edge recreated the color variation.
Yeah.
This scene we shot in Wilmington, North Carolina, trying to recreate a location from Charleston, South Carolina,
Which was recreated from
which was recreated from
Los Angeles, California.
Pasadena, California, 1978.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, I forgot Dylan had to wear a skirt for the whole movie.
That was a conversation and a choice, and I feel good about it.
Me too.
And by the way, his ankles are thinner than mine. I'm just saying it out loud.
So one thing that, and then this is footage from our previous chapter, but with an insert of a phone ringing. One thing I'll say about this scene, too, is in the background, you might notice a radio tower that if we get to make Halloween Ends, our third chapter, it comes into play a little bit. So we created that for in visual effects at the end, once we knew a particular element
Oh,
of characters.
wow. Yes, you did.
Right? So
Oh,
You know
look at
what?
that.
That's called premeditation, David.
that's what's it's called
you-
pandemic. You have a
you
year
told-
to chew on a movie and its already scripted sequel.
By the way, Dylan is so good in this scene.
Dylan Arnold.
He was so wonderful in
love
this
you.
scene. He's
I
so
know.
clearly. I feel his panic so beautifully.
I mean, we probably shouldn't. I mean, anyone who's watching this right now has already seen the movie, right?
Right. They're not going to be watching.
So then I can say that
But
after I saw the movie, I texted Dylan and I was like, "Your mother cannot watch this movie."
Yeah, far out.
I just remember calling Will Patton and saying, guess what? You got run over and you lived.
I have good news and bad news.
Yes, he's such a wonderful actor.
I loved having him around. And then I finally saw Minari and I was like,
Oh, he's so lovely in Minari.
he's one of those great actors that just disappears inside of every role he plays.
And this is this recreation, which is cool, of back then.
Yeah, just trying to recreate the atmosphere of the 78 version. You can see the radio tower in the background.
Oh,
Okay, you seriously? If we were just meeting, I would say now you're flirting.
Let's just,
Because-
I just hope that we'll, be on track to make this third and complete it. Otherwise, it was just a very unnecessary visual effect in the background.
Well, it'll be like an Easter egg.
We'll have to build it for the next
Well,
one.
now it's not.
I
Because
know. I was gonna say it's not
telling-
an Easter egg anymore.
Yeah.
So this is Thomas
Now it's
Mann.
just a Christmas tree.
It was tricky to try to cast a young Will and trying to come up with. It was not hard to come up with a story. It kind of had this great backstory for the Frank Hawkins character, but then coming up with someone that could capture that, and so it was great. I'd just seen Thomas Mann in a movie called Them That Follow, and really loved it, and he agreed to be in this movie alongside Jim Cummings. It's kind of his partner here, and he was in an amazing short film I saw called Thunder Road that he wrote, starred in, and directed. And
Whoa.
since then, we just became friends, and great filmmaker and great actor. And so it was fun just to be able to think about scratching our heads about what actors that we knew could deliver and had a kind of a timeless look. A lot of times it's hard to make a period movie just because of the faces that you'll see, or
Right.
they're so familiar you become accustomed to how they are in present day. But I like the kind of classic look of these.
But it's also, you're not banging us over the head with the period in time.
Yeah.
Time staring out of his sister's bedroom window. I always remember thinking, the hell was he looking at up there?
He's looking at Haddonfield. simple town where nothing exciting.
Oh, there's that
But
fucking
we are banging
radio
over heads
tower.
with a
again.
fucking radio
Jesus,
tower.
what are you up with this radio tower? Is it going to be in
Now
the
it's
third
the
movie,
only
Dave?
thing I'm gonna notice.
I don't know.
This shot, this moment for him was so lovely. He's just such a lovely actor.
Yeah, you know, he has that kind
Okay,
of innocence.
these
of
people,
Will Patton.
these kids, actors, that one on the right, she's so
Evil.
nasty.
She's so
They're nasty.
Well, so the trick here is Lonnie was so nasty in your
Yeah.
78 film that I kind of had to out nasty him with the Mulaney kids.
Yeah, well, by the way, these Mulaney kids are really
Yeah, you gotta watch out.
Yeah.
Please, Universal, Miramax, and Blumhouse, let's make a spin-off of just the
But by the
Mulaney.
way,
Can
David,
we?
this is a little bit of your métier. These sort of nasty kids. And
Fancy words. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
it means it's sort of part of your thing that is special about you.
Okay.
Is you
Nasty
you
kid.
choose and direct young nasty actors.
They're fun.
So what is the story? Were you the nasty kid, or did you know too many nasty kids?
I was both. I was both the bullied and the bully at times, and so it's
Did
kind
you
of
ever,
interesting
like,
looking back on
bully
your life.
yourself and get really mad?
I bullied myself through this entire production.
Oh my god.
It was very difficult. Like 7 weeks of nights is not for a guy that goes to sleep at 10 is not easy.
Yeah, well, guess what,
remember when I-
motherfucker?
Yeah,
Guess who
she
goes to
bed
sleep at 8?
5:30.
So you can only imagine. Oh, by the way, Jamie, we're shooting the hospital interiors at 4 a.m. What? Why?
I
And
showed
by
up
the way,
you
I
guys
love
were
the
all-
homage. I mean, here, that's just a classic from the 78 movie. Just the hedge and Michael, and then he's there, then he's not, is so good.
And Jamie and Judy, this is the extended version of the film too. This is not the theatrical version of the film. Just so when we see things like that, you may not have seen before.
Right, and I was going to say, that's why the hour 40 I was questioning.
Right.
Uh,
This is 3 hours and 26 minutes. The other thing that we did is tried to emulate the lighting environment. And the way that the camera moves technically, I think we tried to do a little bit more of what Carpenter and
Yep.
Dean Cundy were doing,
And Ray Stella, who was operating that Steadicam, I mean, he was our operator.
right? In a very innovative time for
Yep.
Steadicam.
Yep. And physically, he was sort of stocky and smaller, and so it really was interesting to watch him. This moment where he falls on his pumpkin reminds me of that first movie. Boom.
Ow.
That thing.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
here-
really him?
It's really him, and he gets a moment to kind of regret bullying Tommy in 1978. You know, this is kind of our way to kind of infuse another character that we didn't get too much knowledge of in the original film, and then that was just one of the fun ones that when Danny McBride and Scott Teems and I, those are my co-writers, when we were putting this together, thinking of how to expand the world and bring in some various legacy characters. Lonnie was a fun choice just because he was
Yeah.
a little.
And I used to sell peyote to my movie husband, Toby Hess, R.I.P.
I know, R.I.P.
Toby and I
R.I.P..
spent last week together shooting a different thing, and he wanted me to talk a lot about him today while we did this.
I miss him.
Halloween.
So the Myers house, recreating this is built on stage, where we did something that I thought our production designer and Richard Wright and our design team put together something really fun, where we built 6 houses on stage. The Myers house and the houses on either side of the Myers house were recreations from Pasadena in 1978, and then the houses across the street were exact replicas of houses in Wilmington, so that we could be offset driving up on locations across the street and see those in Wilmington, and then look across the street on when we got to stage and see the Myers house and its sidekicks.
Is that a dog?
It is a
It's a
he's passed away
dead
creature.
furry thing.
A marmot.
Oh,
That's
it was a
what.
marmot.
Yeah.
That was smart.
You
I
know,
remember
for
that.
me, these sequences, I just can't even. Like the first time I saw this, I sat with a pillow over my head because I can't.
To me, it was just super fun to be able to walk into a very, very exact recreation of the original house and walk in there and walking through it and questioning things, and then you'd see the research that art teams had pulled and think, oh, you got it right. So sometimes it's interesting to see how your memory plays the floor plan and layout of the house.
Well, I
versus what it
remember
really
this
was.
stairwell very, very well. Yeah, it's amazing.
But also like how the house would have aged. Right?
Yeah.
But see,
Because
this
this
is just too
is-
scary for me, Dave. Sorry.
How many years after is this? From, like, this is what, like 20 years after? No, this would.
So this is 19. This
This is the
1978,
70s. And the real.
and then our story takes place in 2018.
No, the OG.
Oh, and then that was 63.
So it's like 15 years. The house has been totally
Right.
empty and has like been.
The gutter's fallen off the
Yeah,
roof, and
yeah.
again, all these are taken from.
I know,
you
but this
see the
part
moments
right
with
here,
Brackett and Loomis, the beautiful little John Carpenter music stingers, those signatures here. We
Oh,
exciting to be able to.
not happy now.
Ugh.
I'm just really, and what is also amazing is that it's the mask from then, because it hasn't been aged at all. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
that,
yeah.
It's that original,
Yeah.
terrifying, enigmatic.
Oh yeah.
this
It's
is
just,
just
white,
so-
white. William Shatner.
Yep, this is just terrifying.
I don't
Look at me,
wanna
I can't.
watch it.
Like, by the way, we are not watching.
I'm
The,
not.
the mask is cool too, because that's the thing. Christopher Nelson spent so much time researching the original mask and then trying to find the accurate balance, because there are subtle differences between the mask in 2018 and the 78 mask, and then trying to create something that felt like the appropriate.
David Gordon Green.
And this is Chris
very
Nelson's work. All of this.
gory.
All the beautiful gore makeup effects, yeah.
Well, they're.
the-
I mean,
and
they're
this-
really. They're beautifully done. The pulsing of the blood out of him.
What was
really
funny
intense.
was like, I mean, it's funny.
Okay, we have to talk about the Loomis recreation.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, so tell the story of how you conceived how you were going to do that.
Well, we discussed doing it subtly or through voice or through computer effects. And then as we were having that conversation, this is actually for the first film we did, because we were already thinking about the idea of bringing Loomis back. And then we realized that our construction coordinator, Tom Jones, had a uncanny resemblance to Donald Pleasance. And so that was kind of part of our opportunity there, is like we had basically a Donald Pleasance lookalike hanging
That's
out on set.
crazy.
Yeah, and then Chris Nelson did some subtle effects to the nose and the brow and obviously facial hair and things like that.
What if he
too.
would have said no?
If Tom would have said no, I would have upped his day rate.
I hope you still up to
I'm
David
sure.
Gordon Green.
I just want to see him hitting the Halloween conventions and
Oh my god!
Yeah, you and me
amazing.
both.
and this is a moment that's kind of our subtle callback to the
That moment with little baby Michael.
little Michael in the clown
clown
costume.
mask.
Right.
Deborah Hill's hand.
Ugh.
These are fun. The title sequences are fun to try to. Right now, we're thinking about what to do with the third one, but it's fun when we get production design, our visual effects team, and our writers together to try to figure out how we're going to honor the Carpenter title sequence, but then bring our own signature and thematic to our chapter. And so this was a fun one to kind of start suggesting the mob mentality and the various faces that are surrounding Michael. All of these pumpkins were shot on set by our art team individually, and we did some really fun pyrotechnics within these jack-o'-lanterns. And then had our visual effects company, Cutting Edge,
Can I ask you a
come and clean it up.
question?
Yeah.
So Cody Carpenter has been working with his dad for a long time, right? Making music?
Yeah, very talented.
But isn't that lovely? That continuity of, it's a movie about generations of women, and here's the music being done by John and his son. I think that's gorgeous.
I love that. Keep the legacies alive, and
Oh, look, there's your name.
Oh,
And that
favorite
nice
part.
Danny McBride. who's known for serious work.
Yeah.
Yes, a very
Shakespeare mostly.
dramatic thespian.
If you haven't watched The Righteous Gemstones, listener, watch it now. Stop this movie now and watch
God.
Righteous Gemstones.
I'm just always gonna. I'm just an Eastbound and Down girl. Like that's where that's when he captured my heart, and it's always gonna be my number one. I mean, Kenny Powers is like.
Okay, so what's this song, Dave?
Oh, this is the Coupe de Villes. Tell us about the Coupe de Villes.
The Coupe de Villes are a band that John Carpenter and Tommy Wallace and Nick Castle formed in 1970, whatever. And that was their sort of rock band. They performed at the wrap party for the original Halloween movie. And this is a song of theirs that you then used for the opening of the scene here in the bar.
Yeah, that's a little French term meaning this bitch tastes.
They're all of our old friends. And I love how you just sort of go by them. There's Kyle, there's Nancy.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're always trying to consider how you introduce a character. And when we were going to talk about that, we do an actual introduction, a literal introduction in a few minutes. So the idea from a technical standpoint is how do you keep it as subtle with them being more ambiance than a real, because we need to kind of explain to some of the newer audiences who these folks are and where they come from. So I just kind of had to try to play them more atmospherically.
He's fantastic. What is his name?
Oh, that's
He's
Brian.
your
He's
friend from
Sam's
Charleston,
Barbecue
right?
in Austin. He owns
Oh,
Sam's
Austin, that's
Barbecue,
right.
and I did a movie called Joe with him, and then a movie called Manglehorn with him, and he became one of my favorite Austin characters. You'll also notice on this advertisement there it says "Love Lives Today."
Yeah.
That is advertisement for Cure SMA, which is an organization. It's a charity organization. And then we pulled the line "Love Lives Today" and then flip it for "Evil Dies Tonight."
Yeah.
Grown up now, and he's become the most captivating.
There's Robert. He's terrific in this movie.
Yeah.
He plays Lonnie, and I didn't know him as well. And I was so taken by him. I called him after I saw the movie. I think he's terrific.
I saw him for the first time in, I think it was like 2001. He did a movie called Ding-a-Lingless about a guy with no penis. And became it's Orner Tickell is the filmmaker. And I called up Orner and said, who's this man? And then he had a little role in a film I did called Undertow in 2003 or 4 or something. And yeah, it's been fun following his career and seeing him pop up in other films.
Yeah,
And
he's terrific. Oh, there they are. So
They had sightings.
Anthony Michael Hall steps in for Tommy. And he is such a powerful actor. And in the movie, I've spoken to all of these actors since I've seen it. He's so fucking beastly in this. He's so good.
yeah, it would be amazing. You'd be outside sometimes, and we were filming. It was cold, and you'd see steam coming out of his head, and
Yeah.
he'd be getting fired up.
Yeah, because he gets fired up when he works.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
Beyond any mortal man.
It's really excellent work. I'm sure. Obviously, he's seen the movie, and it must be very happy.
I haven't spoken to him since he's seen the movie, but it was just it was.
Here,
Oh,
You'll be
and
here
there's
today.
Kyle and Nancy. So remember, everybody, Kyle was 8
I know.
when we made Halloween. And Nancy, just for those who don't know, is married to, here's a little weird trivia, is married to Rick Rosenthal, who directed Halloween 2. So Nancy Stevens, who was in the original Halloween. There's Annie. There's little Lindsay.
Oh, there's Nancy.
I know. And then look at her, isn't it? And then there's Marion. And she's married to Rick.
Oh.
And then there's Lonnie Elam.
And he's married to about 8 cats.
Really?
Robert is?
Yeah, he's got a lot of cats.
Uh-oh.
Where does he live with all those cats?
I'm afraid to ask.
So, Dave, I have a question. You and Danny, when you conceived this second movie, what the idea of bringing back, as you said, legendary characters? No, you called them. What was the word you used?
Legacy character.
Legacy characters. Like, who had that idea?
You know, it's such it's mush in my mind at this point. It's a very fluid conversational. I mean, with Danny and I, and even Jeff Radley on the first film, we were just talking so many ideas, and then we bring Scott Teems in for this chapter, and so it's kind of a free for all. And
Uh-oh. Look what just happened.
Oh, there we go.
Look. I have blood.
oh my God.
There was a big bucket of blood.
Oh, we need to
No,
go
it's
to the
just
blood
for the viewer.
station.
It was freezing cold.
Oh my God.
It was freezing cold. I'm wearing a tank top.
And also, I feel like I was really hungry. I feel like there were
You were
snacks.
hungry. It was cold, and it was late at night.
And you were wearing a
It
tank
was
top.
really
And I
cold
was
that
wearing a
night and
tank
really
top.
hot this night. Two different.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is intense.
Oh, I have trivia about this.
What's your trivia?
That in this, so we were here in the fall, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we shot this in Wilmington in the fall. Well, the spring before in Wilmington, I shot a movie called Uncle Frank, which is a fucking, oops, am I allowed to swear? It was a kick-ass movie. And Uncle Frank, we shot it at this house. We shot Uncle Frank in this house, and we were there for like a month, and it was a low budget indie, and we all just basically lived at this house, and we all fell in love with it. And David, you said to me, I wasn't working this night, but you were like, come to watch us burn down this house. And you texted me a picture of the house that we were burning down, and I was like, oh my God, it's Uncle Frank's house.
Wow.
So if you, audience member,
By the way, this moment is intense.
it's crazy.
This moment, the give me your hand
Yeah.
moment.
yeah.
Well, this bullshit.
Well,
this is just
well,
ridiculous.
it's interesting when you start, when you start trying to think rationally as a writer, like, okay, how do we get him out of that burning
Yeah, yeah.
It's
basement?
brilliant.
And
When I
was there
read
an
the
escape
script, I
hatch?
was
Yeah,
like,
no, there was that
Brilliant.
nice weapons cache
Yeah.
closet that
And
Lori had.
what would he have done if the fireman hadn't come? He just stayed in there and
He would have died.
he would have steamed to death.
It would have
yeah.
been a little warm, but this give me your hand business.
The other thing about this house that's interesting is this is not the house, the exact house that we shot for Laurie's house in the in our 2018 film. It's just a house that looked a lot like it and would let us burn it down.
Yeah, Uncle Frank's house.
Okay, that was scary. And by the way, this actor, are these real firefighters?
These
or-
are all real firefighters.
Okay,
Yeah.
the actor's face,
Yeah.
these faces looking at this guy are really good.
Well, he's really scary.
I understand, but like that?
I know people think like what we do is so hard, but then you just have a bunch of real firefighters like staring.
And
at
you
something
do that a
scary, and
lot,
it's
David.
So good.
You want the actual people who do the job. When we do a scene later in the hospital, those were real doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that face, that guy's face. That's okay. This whole sequence, David. Seriously,
He is and this
like
movie,
really,
I believe
like
he's
what
a
is wrong with
monster.
you? Oh, please.
And these are also conversations too, because you're like, you have one night to film this big sequence, and accuracy when you're doing some of these things is really difficult. And so the objective is like, how can you technically approach it? And we thought the more silhouette it is, looking at things like the opening to Coppola's Dracula and things like that can be more impressionistic, was the idea, because it's obviously going to be gnarly, but if we could take some of the need for precision out of it and make it feel a little bit more artful and abstract, we could actually achieve it in a modest amount of time.
Oh God, this stuff was
Remember this?
Well, oh yeah.
But yeah, it was most of, if not all, these technicians and doctors and hospital staff were
Okay, for the OG people,
Charles.
they must have been so excited to see Sheriff Brackett.
Yeah, it's fun to bring him back.
This guy's great. And then, of course, Andy. I mean, just stop it.
I know she's incredible. My hands.
Yes, we know your beautiful
I am.
ballet hands. Hate your guts.
I was just excited when I saw the trailer. I was like, those are my hands. The bloody hands. Those are mine.
You made, you made the trailer.
Made the trailer. Oh my God, the Christmas sweater.
No, come on, Judy. Look at you.
Oh.
Do they still have Planet Hollywood? They should put the Christmas.
No, didn't I tell you? I want you to hang it from the rafters from the when you shoot number 3, like a retired jersey.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
so sad, man.
I'm telling you, Judy, when I saw this moment in the theater, I ached for you.
It's Ray.
And it's, well, it's
Okay,
tricky,
but
too.
so these
And then
are
I
all,
almost
by the
puked.
way, people, these are all real doctors. That is a prosthetic stomach. I have been dropped into a operating table below it, and they have laid this prosthetic stomach over me, and all of that is
Not
happening.
watching it. I'm not watching it.
And the commentary in it is nothing compared to Attila, our first AD's commentary.
Oh my god.
To get the exposition out of the doctors too, because they wouldn't ordinarily they would be chit-chatting about other mundane things, according to the professionals. But we needed some things suggesting that you weren't going to be
Right. Well, we
bedridden
needed
for
to
the next 2
establish
weeks.
that I was going to live, that it was basically a flesh wound, and that I was going to be in pain. But is that a real person?
That is a real person.
Oh, buddy.
A real dead person? I mean, I know
No.
that they're not dead.
I forget this. What is happening?
This is not in the movie.
You can't be in here.
You're looking for the body of Ray.
Oh, I forgot.
So the other thing about this set that's kind of interesting is when we get to Wilmington, we were going through. They were about to clear out this set where they'd built a hospital for the Swamp Thing series.
That's right.
And so we said, instead of tearing it down, why don't you just leave us a few of the Swamp Thing rooms, like that room where the morgue. And then we just expanded the hospital about 10 times. But
Yeah.
it was all built on set based on
That's such a
an aesthetic
beautiful
that
shot,
Swamp
by
Thing.
the way.
I know,
just love this shot so
this.
much.
I also liked back when I was crying through the frosty glass. That was cool.
Hmm.
Thanks for.
So this
Okay,
is
and then whose idea was it to give her
know.
what is that called?
a drone. Yeah.
drone,
So that's Diva, who you may or may not recognize from the 2018 film where she's the cemetery caretaker, leading the podcasters to the grave.
Oh my
of course
gosh!
she is.
I didn't
So,
remember.
Now,
Well, you've given her a great send off.
Yeah.
Gee.
I just had such a good time working with Diva, Tyler, and Lenny Clark, who the actor playing her husband, who I'd made the movie Stronger with. And so just thinking of two great character actors that I could bring into the mix here and have fun watching their demise.
Well, and by the way, the look on her face when she's watching Michael do his thing, but she's not dead yet.
Ugh.
The fuck was that?
See, this is the part I should leave. Honestly,
I like when they talk shit about you.
this
There's
is
a
seriously-
candelabra.
By the way, I love that she grabs a. I just can't even. See, I literally, this is not good.
No, it's hard.
So-
Judy's eyes are closed. Everybody,
I'm
I've got
just
my
looking-
hands up like a shield.
And this is day one. This is our first day of production. And
Really?
in the bathroom for our Myers sequence here, for a part of the sequence that's been deleted, was our Nick Castle cameo. But
Aw.
it was all filmed through drone footage. And then when we got into the editing room and realized that the tension, by acknowledging that Michael was in there, preemptively it just took away from a lot of the suspense. And
That
so
shot.
when we lost the edit,
That shot is not in the movie.
that shot is in the movie,
In the-
but there was, in a deleted scene, which supplements this material here, you'll see that there's the drone footage of Nick in the mask shot through the drone.
Oh, I see.
And it's just always great to have him there as he's everything from a
course.
script consultant to just Myers guru. And
Okay, all of that is just.
and
It's
then watching
so-
Funhouse in the background too, which I think she's celebrating Halloween in her own way. And then he doesn't like
God.
drones, so he came in to
He hates.
And that's
Michael Myers.
James Jude Courtney,
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
who is such a wonderful actor and has inhabited this character. He I think out of everybody on the film, he is the most method.
There goes the. Oh fuck.
Okay, whose idea was the death
Yeah.
by
Death
fluorescent?
by Fluorescent, I give to Christopher Nelson.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just coming up with new domestic ways to.
Okay,
inflict
seriously.
pain.
I forgot to look away.
I know,
But
so
this-
did I.
I like this little pirouette in a minute, though. We're trying to find ways that it can add a little bit of a subtle choreography to things.
I feel like Chris Nelson should get like a producer credit. I mean,
He was such a good actor in the 2018 movie. He just so
but
you know,
his, like-
everybody,
he was the cop.
he plays one of the police officers talking about the bone Ammy sandwich.
Yes.
with the other actor who is a real police officer.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
Charlie.
was. I had lunch
So
with him.
that was
He
a great-
So
They
nice.
show back up.
Okay,
Oh.
by the way, the look here, I'm sorry. Why are you making us... You're weird.
Yeah,
David.
I got problems.
Just that she has to watch this happen. And can I just ask you, in any other Halloween movie, there would have been one strike.
I know.
Right.
And-
this is a new thing for well then that's one of the things that we talk about too. We talk about this a lot on set is like when can you break the rules of Michael and do things that he hasn't done before? When is that fun and compelling for the audience and when does it betray
And
the
is this
philosophical?
one of those examples?
Yeah, because this is not something that if you'd asked me 3 years ago, I wouldn't have put this in his repertoire. But then when we get to trying to make each kill distinctive and unique, and as much as we don't want to know about his past, I'm not necessarily as afraid of his evolution to the future. So,
No, but it also, I think, is sort of the escalation of this frenzy of violence that is going to ultimately pay off with the frenzy of violence later in the film.
right.
Yeah. Why did you have him change it up? Just to keep him evolving?
Keep him evolving, but I think that's one thing from a narrative level that's interesting, and it's also for the audience and for myself. You know, you don't want to just do the same thing over and over. There's a formula that people like and respect, and you can.
But then
I
they
think you can push it a little
also,
bit.
but they also want a little bit more too.
I think so. I mean, I try to begin and end this process as a diehard fan of the original film, and how can we honor that, but then make sure that we're entertaining ourselves, because I think that's going to entertain the audience that has grown up with the franchise, and then also open it up to new audiences as our last film, I think,
Yeah.
ideally.
And of
recognized.
course, this is the moment now when the beginning of the new, the people that he just killed are not part of this core group. And so this, we've just heard this whole speech about the legacy of this violence and we're survivors. And then we're going to be with the dad in there, and that look on his face when he gets the news, and then all of this sequence. What happens now? God, he's a wonderful actor.
Brian Mays. Yeah,
What's the name of his restaurant in Austin?
Sam's Barbecue, and yeah, he's just so entertaining when you go in there and eat meats, and then
Wait, does he
might as
get
well put him in a movie.
But this whole moment,
Does he get recognized?
Just this energy is beautiful. Well, he will now.
So there's Christopher
That's Chris
Nelson's head.
Nelson.
Yeah. And there's Omar.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful actor. I want to know, was it his idea, the cowboy hat, back in
It
the
was his
2018
idea.
movie? It's really good.
I know.
And then I should also recognize Charlie, who's that's an actual police detective from
Yes,
Charleston. That was the
yes.
other.
He was a
Dead
peach.
officer.
I had lunch with him in the lunch wagon one day, and he had his prosthetic,
Oh, yeah, his wound.
And I was trying to eat, but then I would look, and it was so.
And he's terrific.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Tommy, look. Hey, turn it up.
Did you build this bar or was it
No,
there?
but I did make that zesty popcorn sign.
Zesty Popcorn is the name of my
Kyle.
band.
The Zesty Popcorn is from the Wheel Bar in Estes Park, Colorado. So there's subtle little shout outs to elements of my life in this movie too.
That's our stream.
It must have been so exciting for Kyle and
She was a
Don't you
sport.
think, for
Oh,
them to come back?
Absolutely. It was really fun sitting down with her for the first time, and just it's in a way you're kind of sizing each other up. Like she's like, who knows what she was thinking, but I was thinking of is this something that not only is a fun kind of fan service type of callback to a character, but is there something, can we find the drama and really make something of interesting
There's
for us?
PJ.
Oh, right there, that black and white photo
Yes.
is Bob Odenkirk. That the original Bob we couldn't find or clear. There was some legal issue with getting Bob, a reference to Bob. And so
So you're doing a meta Bob.
so then I Googled 70s Bob yearbooks,
And you got
and Bob Odenkirk's image popped up.
Did we have to get permission?
So we had to get permission. It was a pretty quick approval, and he didn't ask us for any money, so that was nice. And he
Okay,
has
that's, by the way, talk about Easter egg.
yeah.
There's an
He's got a
Easter
credit
egg.
in it. I hope he sees the movie at some point
my
and finds
God.
the amusement in that I know so many of us that are big fans of Bob's
my
find
God.
and planting him in here. Or maybe an old high school friend of his will look at that and think, wait a minute, that's
that
that's a
Bob?
different Bob.
Okay, this whole sequence also freaked me out.
Yeah.
I did not do well with this.
So Carmela and Michael, the actors here, were they had a like kind of a walk-on line in the previous film,
Yeah.
and I just really enjoyed talking to them that night on set, and it was part of that long sequence with Michael stalking through the neighborhood.
It was that classic shot.
And so when we were thinking of who to bring back, not only were we thinking about legacy actors, but thinking about actors that are characters that we've met along the way. And I thought, well, I enjoyed them. They were, I mean, from take one, they were just really natural. What can we do to expand who they are, where they're coming from?
I love that. Were they so excited that they were? I mean, there's like a.
Well, how excited were you?
Well, I would be excited if I had one day of work on the first one and then had like a huge.
Right, but I'm saying it's so thrilling.
It is. I mean, I would be losing my mind, but I was losing my mind when.
And by the way, I love his performance here. I just love. You just want him to be the dude with a baseball bat.
Yeah, because you saw Johnny Be Good and Into the Sun and Out of Bounds and some great classic Anthony Michael Hall movies.
You
It's fun.
just look at him. You just do not F with this dude with a bat. I mean, that's just classic.
He plays characters that have baseball bats a lot.
He should.
He should. He will now.
But he broke a lot of bats on this production, even sometimes when the cameras weren't rolling, which was disconcerting. Mick's Bar is named after and decorated with themes of Mick Flowers, our prop master, who I've worked with on a number of films over the last few years. And so that bar is kind of an homage to him, his ability as a prop master and a musician. Great drummer.
I love that you use the same crew.
I
as
love
all
you,
the
David
time.
Gordon Green. I'm going to kiss you.
Ooh, kiss is coming. Uh-oh.
Really?
Close your eyes.
I'm closing my eyes. I don't want to know what goes on with mom and dad.
The lights are on, is what I can say. I just had to kiss you. This was scary.
And the music playing here is from Jeffrey Cohen, my a yoga teacher in Charleston that I go to.
Of course it is, David. Of course it is. Oy.
Look at my damn car.
This actually brings up an interesting point of the editing room kind of decisions you make, of how many seeds to plant of what is going to be. I don't know. It's not a red herring, but like they think this is Michael, and then do you just look? Do you see that?
Right.
You see that POV and cut away, or do you see who's looking?
Right.
And so trying it with and without, I just decided that showing him and revealing Stanley Tivoli, who was subtly suggested in the Smiths Grove Mental Institution in the 2018 version. But those kind of decisions you go back and forth on throughout the editing process.
Oh, here we go.
Okay.
Big
So,
John and Little John.
Let me just say this. Okay, let me just say this. The real house on Orange Grove Avenue, which, was the original house where the deaths occurred, and then if you go there now, does not look anything like it. I love that it got gentrified by these two, Big and Little John.
I know.
That they have turned this old classic house into this, obviously house-proud gay couple. And, with every detail, and I know that every single handle and knob was dipped and
God.
polished. It's just, I love them.
Scott
Tell me about
MacArthur.
these actors and how you cast them.
Scott and Michael, and so
Oh, God.
Michael I've known for years, and we've talked about various. We've never worked together before this, but we talked about. It's just a comedian that I love, and we've talked about doing things together. And then when it was just funny that we've always talked about doing funny projects together. And then I said, well, what about a horror movie? And then you find out about his career and what he's done, and he's actually directed horror films, and he's a very versatile actor and has brought a lot of great elements to this role, and then Scott MacArthur, who I had just completed working on The Righteous Gemstones season 1 with, and
Oh my God.
and thought what a funny pairing they might be.
And this is a really gross joke.
Yeah, this is mean to the
this
audience,
bothered me.
David. This pissed me off. It made me mad at you for 10 minutes.
Sorry, you should have
Yeah.
hit that first test screening and written your comments in the cards. The young girl on the ground was actually cut out of the first film. She was in a sequence in Judy. You know, remember the scene with the puppets in.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
right in the school.
That's right. And then we cut the scene out, but I was just really taken by her presence and ability there, and so wrote the scene for her. And then under the skeleton mask, you'll see Gavin, who was plays the young Danny McBride in Righteous Gemstones, although you can't recognize him because he's wearing a mask here.
Oh, wow. Again, you cast and write
Incestuously.
no, but you cast and write nasty kids really well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love that you just sort of dip into this really dark place that kids go to.
I think that probably says a lot about my childhood, but it's super fun.
But the Big and John and Little John, is there any origin story of?
There is Scott Teems wrote this in the initial draft of this sequence, and I can't remember what his inspiration for, but it was something from Family Dynamic or something revolving around his life. So that was kind of fun.
There's something so wonderful that they buy this house that has this legacy
Yeah, they don't give
that
a
nobody
shit.
else
I
wants,
know,
and
don't
they
care.
just see the bones. They just see the bones of the house and know it's going to be fabulous. They're wonderful. What a wacky choice that is.
I like that they're mean to the kids then.
And again, this is all on stage, right?
Well, shooting toward the Myers house is always on stage. Shooting away from it is sometimes not on stage.
I just want to remind everybody watching the movie, I disagree with David Gordon Green very rarely. Rarely. I did say to him from the beginning, hospital gowns just are bad. And originally, she was wearing a hospital gown the entire movie. There will be a moment you will now see what happens. But I just want to say that out loud.
Yeah, I had a hard time trying to convince you.
Yes, you did.
You're very wise in navigating me on some of those decisions, but
Thank you.
There was a penis.
There was penis, and then there's our wonderful Andy, who we're missing.
Andy.
We're missing her voice, and it's husky and kind of like Lauren Bacall.
the
Yeah, it is.
Andy Matichik,
Andy.
we miss you. And this guy is great in the movie.
Brian's great.
Brian's great.
Yeah.
He did like. I remember the first day I worked with him. I just was so he's so strong, and oh, she's so wonderful, and God damn it, she's beautiful.
I know.
Jesus Christ.
I know.
Seriously.
I could never acknowledge the tragedy.
She looks so much like my mother, Janet Lee. It's crazy. It's really crazy.
40 years he was waiting.
She's a wonderful actress.
He found where she
And you,
There I am.
this scene.
You cut out my scream.
I did cut out your scream. I apologize.
That's okay.
You're so wonderful in
Was
this
it bad?
Uh,
The moment, this moment.
I only say that because I lost my voice for 2 days after doing it.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
He didn't.
Look at that slasher rabbit with that carrot. That's the kind of thing I didn't even notice until I get into the editing room, and I think that was probably a Jake Kuykendall or someone in the art department's sense of humor of like a rabbit holding
A carrot
like
that looks like a
is-
knife. Yeah.
By the way, art departments are really sick.
I know.
They will put stuff in movies that is really subversive. And,
Yeah, if you ever have files.
Okay, this moment though, Judy, come on.
Oh.
This moment with Omar. Just this look on your face. And I love, David, I love the shot.
Omar probably loves it too. Told me what?
But I mean, I love that you're holding on this shot. Oh, so creepy.
Allison, are you okay?
The strange pans were like an impulsive decision, and it's funny because you watch it with an audience, and it gets like a laugh in some of those moments of getting that heightened expression and frustration, and then panning it kind of unrealistically in and away from it. I don't know. It was just one of those things that I don't know where it came from, but it was fun to do, and it's strange to watch an audience react in that way.
I want you to go and sit in grandmother's room and wait.
That was a weird run.
No.
I don't want to talk about. Ugh. Oh, sorry. I'm like, shut up.
Be on their way here right now.
Tommy's organizing groups of people.
Oh.
We're gonna go after him. We're gonna find Michael.
I'm going with them.
Oh.
End this. No, he is on his way here. I keep telling
This
them
is
that. He is stalking
what we
her.
call exposition,
Here to protect her.
where you have to say things.
My family with grief and fear for.
This is a tricky thing in a middle chapter like this that I would say it's not just very helpful, but probably essential to the viewing of this, that you have some sort of awareness of what you're getting into. But at the same time, it's been several years since the last chapter came out, so
Right.
there's certain degrees of exposition that I think are just helpful, because it's not like you can't count on everyone opening weekend to revisit your last film and
Yeah.
Carpenter's last film in a running start to their appreciation of this. And so it is a challenge as a writer to think, I need to make sure everybody can not necessarily recap, but get back into the headspace they were in when we left the last chapter.
Imagine being the actor having to do it.
Can't
Just
imagine.
kidding. Oh, Andy, don't cry.
But these shots, I love, I love having
I like
a
the
lot of these
like
shots
the
where
messiness.
people are in the foreground,
Yeah.
people are in the background. You shift the focus. It's really strong.
It's also cool because, like, I don't know how you guys did that, but like where it's like one color inside the room and another color outside the room, and like,
Yeah, to give it a little separate color
Yeah.
space. Yeah. That's Mike Simmons and
yeah.
Steve, our gaffer, and
Yeah.
great technical crew that we have. That it's been fun having a fairly identical crew, not just
Yeah.
the cast that's returned, but the crew, which is very.
it just helps.
Can I ask
especially
a question about
starting right where we left off.
cross that she takes off and puts in her pocket?
Yes.
Is there a
You wore that in the last.
right? But
film.
that's so she picks it up from where, on the table? I didn't see her pick it up.
Yeah, she would have taken it from. I'm sure they would have
Yeah,
stripped it off your bod.
yeah.
Yeah, in surgery.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
I
during
forgot. Thank you. I just now remember.
In surgery, they would take off all your jewels. They probably would have cut it off, to be honest, but
Sad.
Poor Lori, scared another one away.
There's also shooting in a hospital is like it can be so static that it's for me and Mike Simmons, our DP. It's just always helpful to try to any layers you can add to it or reflections or activity you can find a unique place to put the camera to be able to keep the sequence alive so it doesn't get too static.
Cameron's in there. 3 of his friends were killed. It's a madhouse.
All right, Lonnie, listen. The only
and so does that also help to like make the scenes really muddy? Like the shots like with a lot of different people moving and with the different colors and stuff.
I like that, just random foreground crossers.
Yeah,
The sassy tackle line that Robert came up with there always makes me laugh.
I know. I love it. Dylan.
She's okay. She's gonna stay with her family.
Good for her.
Hey, Mr. Doyle.
Hey, buddy. Lonnie, check it out.
Talking about exposition, I always find it a fun challenge when I'm acting and I have to say exposition. It's always like, okay, how can I make this not sound like exposition? Like, how can we make this feel like how someone would really talk?
Yeah.
There's definitely
'Cause-
so much energy that Attila and his team give the background work. You know, there's just a lot of. It's never static. In this movie, particularly because we're in a hospital with a growing mob.
Yeah.
Everything is moving, David.
Yeah.
Always.
And that's Teddy. We bring in Teddy from the AD department.
Oh,
knows
Teddy!
everyone in the background by name and
Yeah,
knows their
he,
kids'
like,
names
Nick's
and
names
keeps it
for
really,
that. I know. He's
really from
amazing.
getting lost.
Man, I had an altercation with Mars about an hour ago, but he escaped. Now listen,
Can I just point out that this convenience store has sweetbreads, coffee, and milk?
Ew.
Just another jackass art department thing that I didn't notice until I watched this 1,000 times in the editing room. I didn't notice that until when we premiered in Venice, and so I'm sitting in this elegant festival in a tuxedo, laughing out loud at something that
it
nobody
says
has any clue what
sweetbread.
I'm laughing at because it has sweetbreads on it.
How is that the first time you noticed that?
I'm looking at other things,
I
and
know.
that's just one. Every time you watch it, you kind of lock into new things. That's why at a point you just got to stop editing because you'll just go crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what's going on over there?
Baby, who is that?
Looks like kids. They all alone?
Oh, here are those nasty kids again.
Careful
Lindsay.
The trick with nasty kids is you got to cast sweet kids so that you can actually hang out with them and handle them.
Yeah.
I don't even know why they gave you a gun. It's big too. Can you handle it?
Just all of these decisions in here are so good and sweet.
Oh my
So
God.
this is the one sequence that was very challenging. This is 3 nights, all night, and I'm not a meticulous storyboard guy. I don't necessarily try to know what I'm getting into before every sequence, but this was one that we thought out, we rehearsed, we mapped out a game plan because I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 nights, but long nights, a lot of just technical, difficult things to achieve.
And kids,
Yeah.
which is always a nightmare.
I actually like it. I think people really complain about animals and kids and water, and I think those unpredictable qualities are kind of a fun thing because there's no way you can't really control and put them under a microscope. You just let them loose, and if you have the right kids with the right charisma.
Okay,
Really
watching
I
Kyle
know.
now kind of doing what Lori did, to the kids is really powerful. And that shot, I mean, just that shot. Like, really, really, Dave? Thank you. Oh, stop it. See, why?
This sequence, I'm sorry it took you so long to shoot. I'll never be able to watch it again.
And for fans of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, they'll recognize the skeleton, the jack-o'-lantern, and the witch mask.
Ah!
An underrated sequel in the franchise, but one I personally enjoy.
How many total Halloweens are there now?
This one's technically Halloween 12.
Holy crap.
Really?
So in any sort of legal contract, it doesn't say Halloween Kills, it says Halloween 12.
In what?
In any of the contracts that I do.
Oh, really?
Like to, it's,
That's just all of this is.
Oh my God, this part?
and Carmela was she was a former, if I'm not mistaken, was a police officer in Philadelphia.
What?
And so she actually knew how to shoot guns and handle herself with a firearm, which, unlike Michael, her spouse in this film, he did not.
But is that why you had it where she takes the gun from him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
smart.
she says, I've shot this shit before, which is true. She had.
Okay, that's just terrifying. I'm so sorry. Oh, Nancy. I'm putting my hand up. I'm not watching it. Again, there's 4. David, the strikes are more. The intensity of the violence
As
is
opposed to 1.
mounting.
So
okay.
I'll point that out. That's backwards acting.
I
So
saw that.
You saw the backwards acting? Look,
Yes.
he's still acting backwards. All this is done in reverse, so that he could then we could pull a knife
Pull it out.
So yeah, so he dies and then he performs backwards.
Wait,
too.
I had to watch this, like, the behind the scenes on all the...
Oh, did we show how that was? Is there
Yeah.
behind the scenes on that? Oh,
There's a
fun.
behind the scenes where you guys show it. It's really cool.
Oh, great.
Okay.
So if you're listening to this, check it out, because watching how Chris Nelson does all this is magic.
Really? I haven't seen that.
Really?
Maybe somebody
I
will
thought
text it to me. Do you have my number?
We'll find
I
it.
got it. It was a part of a whole series of things. I thought I had to watch all of them, but I did. I watched all of them. I sat and watched all this footage from. Oh yeah.
And by the way, I love that
She did this.
she has that ingenuity to take a pillowcase and put bricks in it. Oh, ouch.
Wait, did we miss her shooting Carmela shooting herself in the
Yeah.
head?
Yes.
That was fucking awesome.
You were dancing. That was
Whose idea was that?
I can't. I won't take credit for any of it. So I don't.
But
Smart
it's
people
really
I surround myself
incredible.
with, and everybody comes up with good ideas, and I get to curate.
This reminds me of Andy running through the woods in the 2018 movie.
Yeah.
That whole,
Oh my God.
Kyle.
In the behind the scenes stuff, you guys show the guys looking for alligators, and
Right.
she's like, "Wait, what? Why are they in here?"
Yeah, she didn't care for that particular situation down in there, but
None of us
she
would.
was
I did
sport and-
a movie in Panama with John Borman, the Tailor of Panama.
Oh, I love
and
that movie.
I swam in the Gatun Dam with Pierce Brosnan, and they had alligator and swamp creature scuba teams, which also freaked me out, by the way. When they were like, we're just checking for, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
I did a movie once where two of the main characters had to jump off a bridge in Louisiana, and they were like, "Are there alligators in this water?" And they're like, "No, not even close." And then like I was in the scene looking down, and then some prop guy's like, "Look what I found in the water!" And it's like a baby alligator, and he's showing everyone.
Nice. This is a great shot.
Oh, God, it's
these
so good.
sequences this is so creepy.
Yeah, I remember calling Kyle and saying, just talking to her about the realities of taking the role and doing this, and she was like, she was hesitant at first, and she's like, let's do it. And then on set, it was just really fun. Somewhat of a psychological game, but it was awesome getting.
She's a sport. I
Yeah,
really
she's
liked. I didn't get to work with her, but I got to have lunch with her a lot, and I really liked it.
So
I will say, like, one thing about this movie is we all eat lunch together. I always eat lunch I eat lunch here with everybody. A lot of jobs I go to my trailer, but this one, it's like we're all family.
So I just need to say this because I'm the one who's going to take a lot of heat, not you people.
You are?
Is how the whole reality of is Lori rendered useless by this knife attack, which we painted ourselves into a corner in the 2018 movie, not knowing we were going to make the 2021 movie. And so this whole conversation of how serious is the stomach wound, I'm not method, but I'm very specific about technical stuff. And that was an example of like, what is the reality? And so the whole conversation of how much lidocaine they've put in, how much numb and block they've put in during surgery is what's the reality there. So as you see the movie proceed, you will understand some of my stomach acting and my demand, for instance,
surgery.
of the bleed out at in the hall, where I demanded more blood because it doesn't make any sense that it wouldn't have opened and be.
Well, yeah, you had surgery.
Thank you.
You were operated on. It was major.
And you saw my stomach.
Yes, it was gross.
Oh,
I don't.
sweet Andy.
I know.
You just want to put your arms around this woman.
She's tough, though.
I know, but
She's tough.
And that's a callback line between Lonnie and Ray because they each.
Because Ray says Lonnie sold him the peyote, and then
you know.
Lonnie says, didn't he say Ray gave it to him?
It's covered in blood. There's
I think that you're right about Andy, though. Like, she's so tender, but man, she's tough.
I just want to.
I know.
I just think she's a beautiful, beautiful.
She's so present.
Performer. Okay, and this is all that same night that you were talking about, David.
Oh,
This is the same night, yeah.
Yeah.
This is 3 nights in this park.
Yeah.
And it's just like, my brain was going a little crazy, but. Because it's also, sometimes it's fun when you have, when there is a more fun or active scene, but this is just like melancholy and brutality for night after night.
Oh, shit, Tommy.
I know, but look at Robert. He plays freaked out and sort of concerned, and then his bravery that shows up when he shows up at the house is really great.
Another one of Michael's art projects, which I've always been fascinated by since the first time I saw the 78 film, is how disturbing it is that off camera he does these little,
macabre sort of,
performance art.
Yeah. Ugh.
Fuck me.
I gotta tell you, I was so taken by his work because he just evokes that sort of, oh, Marion. I'm sorry.
He did this. Oh, God, Marion.
Oh.
Tommy, what the fuck? I'm gonna get you. Come and get it, man.
And she's not dead.
Over here. She's over here.
I was so happy she wasn't dead.
Yeah,
She was so brave, and she protected those kids just like Lori. And I'm just happy she wasn't dead.
I think if we had had more time,
You would have killed her?
Yeah, we probably.
Wow, David. Wow. What? And you say it with a glee. If you could see his face right now,
Well, I
there's
say
a
because
big,
actors
like,
love that scene.
childhood
Yeah.
smile on his face.
Everybody wants. I mean, every actor, except for maybe Laurie, I'd say every character has come to me at some point and said, "Where's my death scene? How does my?" And actors come up to me all the time saying, "Can I have a cameo kill in a Halloween movie?" You know, there's something
That's
like
funny.
it's like being knighted or something.
So let me tell the people watching one tiny story, if I may. May I?
Sure.
Yeah.
When we shot the scene with Omar and Sartain in the 2018 movie where Laurie walks up and says, "Why aren't you doing anything?" And I would kill him. You know, I've dreamt about him every night. There was a moment where I had never met Will, and we were meeting for the first time on the street. And I remember looking at him and saying, "I think you're Judy's father. I think we were lovers back in the day." And it began this whole conversation about, were Laurie and Hawkins a thing? Then I had this whole thing about this bar that we're talking about. And my imagination was that they had done it in the bathroom in a bar on a drunken night for her. And it had resulted in the pregnancy, and she just never told him. And I had this whole thing. And then when the script was written, and I had told you, David, and then when the script was written, there's this lovely thing. But what I love is that he says to her, "Nothing happened. Like, we kissed and that was it." And there's just something so tender and honorable about that choice of Hawkins, that he knew there was a drunk girl and he wasn't going to take advantage of her, and that it builds this lovely little budding romance.
Maybe he
I just think
doesn't
it's
want to have to
beautiful.
like deal with child support or.
I think it's
like
such, it actually showed me a real tenderness on your guys' part as writers.
You talked to. I remember when we did rehearsals for the 2018 Halloween. You talked to me and Andy and David about like where Karen came from, and you had some ideas about like. We had
I love
conversations
it, but I think
during
that's
rehearsal.
I think it's fun. I mean, I always try
Yeah.
to pride myself on. It's not with every actor, but I like to hear where people are coming from and where their characters are coming from or going to. I think it's fun if you can work in that connective tissue in some way, and it's not necessarily. You can't necessarily put everything down as it is in subtext and things like that, but it's nice to acknowledge some sort of
Yeah.
collaborative design of characters rather than just I'm a writer, say my words, which I think.
And also that
happen.
when you meet someone and you have that immediate reaction,
Yeah.
you have to own it.
Yeah.
It's nice when you're an actor.
Oh, Charles Cyphers. How wonderful that he's in the movie. It moves me so much.
Yeah, it's fun. And this actor, Damien Jawan Lee, who was in my very first film, George Washington, when he was 12 years old. And so it's
Oh, right.
keeping up with him and writing that role for him and getting him back on a movie set. Very cool.
My son Oscar, is he here? I got a call. I'm his mother. Is he alive?
I have no idea, but triage expansion just opened up. I'm gonna have you sign in right here.
Couldn't
hold it, please. Somebody help!
That is Oscar's mom, and her last name, Berlucci, is a shout out to Mike Berlucci, a great DP friend of mine.
How you doing? How's your mom? How's Lori? Is she okay? She's okay. She's fine. She's with Lonnie and Cameron.
No, but he's coming here. She's not supposed to be
He's
with
coming
them.
here. How do you know that?
All right, secure a perimeter. Hospital's on lockdown.
Here's the beginning of the crowd.
Yeah.
And I remember, you have to remember, people, crowds are hard. These are late nights. These background actors are working long, long hours.
Yeah.
And you'll see
And-
certain faces that have been around since the bar. Like there's the woman that was behind the bar changing the channel on the TV set and things like that. People are starting to collect from throughout that night. Some that are following the crowd, some that are looking for loved ones. And so there's a lot of faces that are repeating. So it's night after night, not just here for a scene, but night after night they've shown up.
And it was their energy that gave these sequences so much energy. And I was very impressed, again, with your team of how they were able to keep these people fired up. Because it's arduous. And it's start and stop, start and stop, start and
Yeah.
stop for many, many, many hours.
And then having, I know.
Stomach acting.
Mama.
Here we go.
Oh, mama.
Okay, this moment, I remember it was very moving for me. He was so sweet.
Karen.
And of course, this is that moment that we all have to act, which
Listen, I just want you to know.
Oh, he was so sweet.
Because 40 years ago, when I was a kid, you protected me. So tonight,
He's ruining everything. That's how my character is feeling.
Stomach acting. Sorry. Again, because I'm the logic person.
We had him. How did he escape?
I don't know. I don't know.
what do? We don't have the police support.
We fight. We always
Yeah.
fight. Go find him, Tommy.
Oh.
Don't. I need you to listen.
And then you and me, baby.
I know. I love how I am in the last movie. I'm just like, get away, get away, get away. And in this, I'm like just with you, watching you, taking care of you.
Elam, people are losing their minds. They're
You just can. It feels like Karen never stopped loving her mom, even though she tries so hard to convince herself.
system.
Well, the system failed. Now get the fuck out of my way. Don't. No.
Uh-oh.
What are you doing?
Here she comes.
So now, here is, I believe this was my idea, as to how am I going to be able to do the rest of the movie? How can I get through the rest of the movie back to some level of strength?
I'm not watching.
Right
I'm not
now.
watching.
Boom! Because that's the only way. Because if not, it just didn't make any sense.
Yeah. But also, there is a madman on the loose.
I know, but if you've had your stomach cut open,
I know.
again, it
I
becomes
get
the
it.
logic
I totally agree with
police.
you. It's
Like,
true.
has anyone ever had like a laparoscopic procedure? You can't move.
Yeah, Logic Police probably should have left this movie about 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, they've checked out.
They were defunded.
And by the way, then the next part is, how do I get out of the hospital gown?
Right.
Well, you laid the pipe of Judy saying, I can't believe they left your old clothes, and you throw them in the trash. What is this movie?
Oh, this is Minnie Moskowitz. I think I've always, since I was in film school, always dreamed of working with Seymour Cassel and Gena Rowlands, and that likely the reality is not going to happen. So I thought we could put a good Cassavetes shout out in this film.
These two.
Okay, these two, I can't.
I know.
I just can't.
I know. Oh my God.
My mom kept bees before she died.
I mean, they're just spectacular.
I know.
Sorry.
And I only met them like one day. They were in the makeup trailer doing their tests.
Oh my God. I think we went out.
Yeah,
We were out
I was
one
only
night.
there for not a long time, if you remember.
No. I had lunch with Scott when he had his prosthetic eyes in, which was a fun lunch.
Knock it off!
Oh, it's just this whole sequence, I got very uncomfortable.
The other thing, I love taking very comedically capable actors and putting them in dramatic roles, because I think you see the humanity and vulnerability in, especially when these aren't super meaty roles, but they're just fun sequences.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell a lot in a little bit, and you don't want it to be overly dramatic. You want it to be fun, and trying to find that balance of what scary and fun and.
Did Emily pitch these costumes, or did you come up with them?
I probably left that to the experts, and Emily, has done a great job with these two films, and so for the most part, I say.
What do you think?
do. Yeah,
what do
you're
you
right.
think?
Oh, she is a wonderful,
She's so
all of these
incredible.
costumes.
But thinking about Halloween and dressing up anyone and for Halloween costumes, most of things, the reality is it's merchandise from licensed films and things that you can't necessarily clear to have in your movie.
Right.
So we have to come up with our own universe of wardrobe. So it'd be more of a pirate than it would be Captain America,
Right.
I also love that he's not in costume.
No, he just dancing and getting high.
Oh my God. He
And that
probably
he's
has one. He
chosen-
just hasn't gotten around to putting it on yet.
And that he's chosen this sort of, is that
Why
a pirate?
don't they leave the house?
Why don't they leave the house?
Yeah.
You gotta stand and protect the castle.
By the way, why did I throw away the knife?
I know.
Because
Look, he's
Logic,
taking off.
I know,
love
I
this.
also love that choice. Please
He's
tell me
like-
that was an actor's choice. to take off the watch and the bracelet.
I give that credit to Scott for
Yeah,
sure.
it's just, and then the little tiny knife. It's so good.
I still think we need to do the Cutlery by Curtis.
Yeah, I know.
knife
I
line.
know. You know what? I have not had that branding
I'll go
offered
trademark
to me
that
yet.
real quick, and then I'll take advantage of our.
All right, I'll be
our
calling
moment
the
here.
agents.
By Halloween ends, we will have
CAA will be getting a call from me after this narration. I promise you. By the way, how fun was it to have the Haddonfield Memorial Hospital sign? And we had so many looky-loos, and we were so nervous that they were going to ruin.
Yeah.
You know, because people are spoilers. They want to spoil people's thrill.
Yeah, I struggle with that a little bit, and ultimately I think, well, they're spoiling things. They're just excited about it, so I have to switch my headspace from arrogant filmmaker trying to be possessive and protective of everything, every plot point, to just like allowing culture to do what culture does, and sometimes that's telling secrets, sometimes that's keeping them. I don't know. It becomes its own living, breathing thing, and I think if you try to control it too much, you just get frustrated.
And this is that guy, right? This is the
Tivoli.
Tivoli.
Yeah, it depends on where you come from as to how you'd pronounce it, but yeah.
But all of this is so moving. He's such a sweet man.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Ross, that actor, passed away a couple months before the film was completed, so it was he didn't get a chance to see it. But he appeared in The Righteous Gemstones as a clown. After he appeared in our first Halloween movie, I was just taken with him. I thought he has an amazing face and voice, and so then we upped the ante in an episode of Gemstones and put him as a birthday party clown, which he was hilarious in, and then wrote this role for him, and he did not get a chance to see it, unfortunately.
Sorry to hear that. Again, for the watcher, this is why I'm now wearing clothes. Can you imagine me doing this sequence in a hospital gown?
You bet we can.
No, we can't, David.
I
Because
would have
then you're
just
seeing
always
my
had to
big
have been
butt.
behind you.
Yeah, I know you would have been holding it. It would have been nasty. It's ridiculous. As I tried to say to David, even Schwarzenegger in a hospital gown looks like a wimp. You know, you just can't be Laurie Strode and not. Okay, again with the closets and the knives. I can't, David. Because the scariest sequence for me in the 2018 film is the babysitter upstairs with that little boy.
Yeah,
and
Ginny. Yeah.
Ginny's death.
Yeah.
Ginny's death.
Oh
I
God.
just
But you putting
can't.
Ginny in Gemstones in season 1, like, wasn't she all wrapped up in like bandages?
Yes, she was.
But she was wonderful. She was wonderful.
Super fun, and then I didn't get to point out the Jabrail.
I
cameo
saw the cameo
on the news broadcast.
On the news
we
broadcast.
had to bring Julian back for a minute, and he had a line that he says she was my number one main best babysitter, which is a line I strangely took from the documentary Streetwise, where a girl's talking about horses and says they're my number one main best animal.
Wow. By the way, I also love how brave they both are here.
Mm-hmm.
I just love how.
Is it brave?
Well, you talk about stomach acting. What about armpit acting? You know, this is some serious armpit exposition that Scott. That was a fun thing to try to choreograph. How do I get his armpit exposed but not look like? So we had to set it up in the previous room, and then here it goes. Because I'd never getting stabbed in the armpit. I had not seen in a movie, and I was trying to come up with new.
By the way, I once did the cover of Spy magazine where I put a big where it was supposed to be about bad clothing choices, like being stupid, and I put a big tattoo in my armpit because I've never seen an armpit tattoo.
I also would say this blood, this eye gouge, blood gag is like was not intended to be as graphic and crazy as it was, and actually I think in a lot of ways it steers away from a Michael Myers move. But when Christopher Nelson did it, just the look of the success and smiles around the crew quietly appreciating it, we kind of had to include it because we have footage like that. It's easy to edit around it, but man, it's so tempting.
I mean, come on. There's the moment, that turn. And I just love the look on his face, the resignation.
Why doesn't he just run down? Why do they walk through the house?
He's got a ceremonial. He's got his friend right there.
He just, I thought, and just by the way, for the viewer, all of this energy now, all of these moving parts, all of the people moving and running. You have to remember, this is hours and hours and hours and hours.
This was
it's
so
late
scary,
at night.
actually. I was legit scared.
And
because these
people are
they had so much adrenaline.
I mean, all of this part, these people are literally
They were
running
banging into us.
I do
That
love
guy-
Lori's move there, though,
my
by
God.
the way.
That
And
guy-
then watch what happens. What happened?
Yep.
She opened her stomach wound. Again. Stomach acting.
That Tommy scream of Brackett always makes me smile in the editing room. That's just something about his opera there that appeals to me.
I will say that was the scariest part. I mean,
Those
usually
people.
when
yeah.
we were in the hallway and they were running past us, like it was legit scary, and they were filled. They were
Oh, what? Her stomach wound opened? No.
They were screaming and they had so much adrenaline. Oh, this breaks my heart.
I know.
This moment.
Yeah.
There's Oscar's cameo. So we were lucky that he lived there
He
locally
did,
in Wilmington, and we called him up and said, "How about a cameo?" Well, obviously you're dead, but
Will you be dead?
maybe a shot in the morgue. True was awesome.
By the way, that was so beautiful because that's kind of what makes this movie not just a horror movie, is like the moments of humanity.
Yeah.
You know?
Hospital staff sightings on the second floor.
Okay, this part of the sequence, all of this stairwell work, again, remember, this is over and over again, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and
my
down,
God.
over and over again, people moving,
Was that
all
me or
of
was
these
that
stunts.
my stunty?
That, just even that, it's so intense, and it's never ending on a movie like this. And these performers, some of them stunt people, but a lot of them just background actors.
The nurses were. Was that the fall? Was it me or was it my stunt person?
I believe that was a stunt person. I'm trying to preserve your ankles and knees and face for the rest of the shoot.
I know I did a couple. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that take.
I just got to tell you, it really, the evoking of a mob moving through a building is intense. And you did a beautiful job with it. Uh-oh. Wait, what?
It's not.
Wait, what's he saying to you right now? I know, I should know this.
He was talking about
Yes,
that
about,
it wasn't,
telling
that
the
it was
story.
his fault.
Yeah.
He was saying that it's his fault.
right.
It's also interesting because the kill count has already been established in the movie. So as a writer, you can't assume more people have died, and so you kind of have to figure out when we're going back in time where the tension came from and where the killing, how it would have been attributed.
All I could think was that inside that monster there was somebody's baby boy.
I know, but then you have that actor saying to him, "Give me your gun." That's so crazy that that's not Donald Pleasance. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I was very confused by that. I'm glad we cleared it up personally, because when I watched this movie, I was like, wait.
He's such a
And
wonderful
then I thought
actor.
maybe it was
Will
like
Patton.
motion capture.
No,
I mean-
low budget games, but it worked really well.
Yeah.
Frank, you were doing your job. But now
It's funny, he doesn't have to say anything and you watch him. Look at that. He's doing nothing. But he's so intense.
Someone told me once that this is a terrible thing to do the multiplication tables in my head just so it looks like you're thinking of something.
Wow.
I met Will when I was a PA on a documentary about the novelist Larry Brown, and he was doing a recreation. The filmmaker Gary Hawkins was making this documentary, and Will had a bit part in it. This is maybe in 1999, and so it's been fun keeping up with him. And finally,
Yeah.
after the 20 years of talking about working together, or 18 or so, able to get in the ring.
I'm not gonna.
Okay, I'm done with how beautiful you are, Judy.
I was literally just like, Michael made me really glowy in that moment.
I was going to say, Michael, did use some beautiful
didn't
light.
have to
Oh, that's
shoot-
right. I have overhead fluorescent lights.
I know.
in
I was
my
like, if
face
you're not in the middle
entire
of a
movie.
fluorescent
It's all right.
light.
It's fine. I can deal with it. Yeah, I don't get to walk into some beautiful
If
light.
he has a
it's fine.
second.
Big girl.
And thematically, this is just a point in the movie where it was fun to explore something outside of the obvious stalking of Michael Myers, but how fear is transcending into the excitement of a crowd and miscommunication and these frustrations within a community, and ultimately, as Brackett will come to say, he's turning us into monsters. I think there's a fun theme here to look at this Stanley Tivoli character and how he's being received as a monster because people don't know what's beneath the mask.
It's my idea
And
to
here you are being a hero.
run that fast, and we did a lot of takes of that. And then you were like, "Are you sure?" And I was like,
And
"Yeah."
I love that you turn your back to the door and are like, no.
Well, they don't listen.
I know they don't.
But I try. Oh, buddy, his body language here.
It's just,
There's Orner Tickell, director of Ding-a-Ling-a-List, right there running it.
wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Ding-a-ling-list.
But shot in the
I
same
feel
park
like I
where we
could
had
have.
the
I
Park
should have.
Massacre.
I feel like I should have tried harder. I feel like they just like.
You know what, though? You can't stop a mob.
I know.
And this
just
is
can't.
another fun one in the editing room to see are you in the mob's perspective? Are you in Tivoli's character and Karen's character, Tommy's character, and Tim Alberson, our editor, and our sound designers really went to work and created this scene out of just so much chaos that we had, and it was awesome. So many anxieties that I'd go home at the end of the night not knowing what we had because we'll have so many cameras going and we're working so fast and trying to achieve something. And this is the first rough cut I've ever seen where I didn't have a panic attack. I just saw it and thought, it's all in there, and that's a credit to these awesome technicians, editors, and sound designers.
And just the editing here. The building of this tension is incredible. And Judy, there you are.
Ugh. And like that they're both.
Yep. And then the silence of that.
Oh,
I
God.
should also say, too, our stunt coordinator, Aaron Armstrong, was also the younger Michael Myers in the 78 flashback sequences we filmed here.
Dude, this
sweet.
was so horrifying.
This is just horrifying.
I couldn't watch you shoot it. You were like, stay and watch him jump. And I was like,
Yeah,
nope.
No.
This is horrible.
No. I can't even. I can't.
And that's a combination jump. We did.
Oh, God.
Jeff is a stunt coordinator that had done a film with me in New York several years ago. We called him in to do the actual jump, and then our visual effects artist took over to extend
That's just.
No.
I can't.
But it's fun to think that in a world that everything is taken over so quickly by CG and digital effects, to actually have the big pillow, the big inflatable cushions and boxes and things like that, and to have somebody jump out of a hospital window.
It's in the outtakes, or it's in the behind. There's a thing I watched about it, and you see the big thing. It was so scary to watch, though. Even though I knew you were being safe and stuff, I was like,
Well, because they're stunts.
know.
It's still scary.
it still reminds me.
They go wrong.
I mean, I know it's so dark. It still reminds me of 9/11. Like every time you see that.
So this is our last shot of Sheriff Barker and his headspace. That was an interesting character to consider, contemplate how we say goodbye to him in this movie after all the mayhem.
It's sort of opera. It feels very. The movie has gone into a sort of operatic level for me in these last 30 minutes.
That's the idea, and even editorially, it's more emotional than it is chronological or logical. It's more just kind of finding a flow of where it's all going, and it takes on a little bit of a life of its own, as opposed to the script, which felt a little bit more structured.
Take this.
Just that moment right there. Wow.
He shot himself. Got it? Just because you're...
Do you know when Jamie and I were doing an interview a few weeks ago, Jamie was talking about how brilliant you and Danny were, about how you told a Me Too story before Me Too, and you told a mob mentality story before the Capitol, and I said that you and Danny saw a psychic regularly in Charleston. And Jamie, do you remember you believed me for a split second?
I did, actually.
I was like...
Because you're a little woo-woo, Dave.
I'll take woo-woo. You've been called a lot of things. And woo-woo.
You're cool, but you're a little woo-woo. You're a little out there in the woo-woo world. And
I was like, but how?
I think I made a joke that we should take him to Vegas.
Even the policemen covering for each other.
Yeah.
Like, you made a movie about that before it happened, too. On a lesser scale, but you know what I mean.
My partner died.
There's something that also just in opera, there's also this beautiful going back to this very quiet place with these two characters. So,
do you feel like it's important when things get like so tense in a movie like this to give the audience a minute to catch up or to just relax for a minute, or what?
I think so. I mean, I don't necessarily feel a responsibility to it, but sometimes when you're watching a movie played back for the first time, it can just be relentless or bleak or overly austere, and it's nice to have...
That moment I remember.
I know, I love that.
Yeah, I like explaining to you. Now walk backwards and take 4 steps and then take each other's hand.
Yes.
Wait, why am I walking backwards?
Just do it really quick.
Let's do it.
If you do it quick, it won't look weird.
By the way, some directors tell you to do that, and I need to know why. But David Gordon Green tells you to do it, and you're like, okay, is this cool? Does it look cool? Okay, cool.
Well, that's half my direction because it might look cool.
I know. No, it'll look
And if it
really
doesn't, we'll edit it out.
He goes home.
Again, Robert has just taken...
I know.
He just captures the terror of this reality of going on in this moment with these people.
You took my daughter to chase a killer and an
I
innocent...
enjoy this scene with you, Judy, and his line when you ask him if he has a car, the inflection on his reaction is so interesting. It just makes me happy.
I think we kind of worked this in the moment, didn't we? Do you have a car? Didn't we?
I'm gonna go down swinging.
Yeah, it wasn't scripted that way. I
Right.
think we freestyled that one.
I have a car.
Karen is more calm. Like, she's
But here's where Robert
grounded.
does his bravery. I just love this. I mean, just that look on his face, holding that one split second.
Now I'm going in alone.
It's just,
Mr. Elam.
You fucking done.
he reminds me of those dudes that you knew who partied a lot and just had kind of
Go inside and confront the man that
added up the course of their life, and they've struggled. You know, you see the struggle of life on this guy's face.
Your sake and my son.
Robert knows how to party.
Well, he has 8 cats. I mean, clearly he knows how to party.
Maybe more.
At least
There
8
may be
cats.
some cats we don't know about.
Usually when people have that many cats, there are cats we don't know about. Because what makes you stop at 8?
Also, you have an uncanny ability of casting people to look like relatives. So, in the original 2018 movie, I remember the day you told me you were casting Judy, and then I hadn't met Andy. And if there's a picture I posted on Instagram recently of the 3 of us in these striped T-shirts, and we look like...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that photo.
It's-
That's cool. Yeah.
Brian posted it.
Yeah.
But there's just something, even Lonnie Elam and,
Yeah, and Dylan.
Dylan look...
Dylan has a shaved head now.
What?
Does he?
Yeah.
Why?
He looks cool for a movie.
That's fun.
Oh,
I ran into him on the street. We live in the same neighborhood. He's pulling a David Gordon Green.
Yeah, it was the end of day 1 where I
Did you shave your
I
head
had
that night?
the hair department shave my head then. I was like, this is gonna be a wild shoot. The last thing I need to do is combing hair out of my eyes. Let's
I love it.
yeah.
This is a quickie.
I just remember when I saw this for the first time how tense I was. Like that moment of just like, fuck this, let's go.
Go, go, go.
You know, we haven't talked too much about the musicians, which we mentioned Cody and John earlier. Cody and Daniel Davies and John Carpenter's score. It's one of the most exciting and nerve-wracking parts of this process is having these amazing collaborators. But showing John the movie for the first time is always
This is scary.
yeah. You know, he reads the scripts, gives me notes, and then when we watch it together and typically have a little temp track. It gives a sense of what I'm looking for, and then some of it they acknowledge, and some of it they just give amazing new ideas, unexpected avenues for ways to take the score that is in some ways so familiar, in other ways trying to innovate and do something fresh with. And it's just getting those first tracks back is always so exciting.
Okay, this whole sequence, by the way. It's difficult. Okay, stop it. Can't.
Also, like, she just shoots what's in there. What if it's like someone hiding? Andy. When you put in a temp track, I guess it's not really applicable in the Halloween franchise, but like with other movies, do you find that it can distract the composer?
Yeah, sometimes he doesn't want to hear it. Another, that you would avoid it, but.
By the way, I'm seeing the art direction, the cloud wallpaper, that beautiful glass, and
I took like 1 million pictures of this set. I love
it. But I love how they updated this old house the way that people who are house proud love to do. Oh.
It's a nice design. I'd like to relocate that office to my house.
I'd like this whole house in my house. Oh, I'm so sorry.
And to see them kind of positioned in the opposite of their photo.
I know. I'm not watching for a minute.
Well, I'm not going to. But by the way, Dylan's death, David,
it's pretty gruesome.
Is as gruesome as anything I have ever seen. The first time I saw this movie,
long.
It's just, it's
too much.
Yeah, it is.
Long.
For someone like me, it's way too much.
Especially,
but it's so good.
It's so good, but it's really disturbing.
I'm trying to remember how this is not necessarily how it was scripted, but when we were constructing the house, we were trying to come up with where Robert Longstreet's where Lonnie was going to be, and then kind of came up with the closets that have those familiar slats to the '78 version.
And wasn't Ray in one of those?
Yes.
In my upstairs
in your house?
in my house.
Yeah, and then Lonnie up in the attic. Night night.
Nighty night. Oh, stop it.
And
sorry. Come on,
Dylan.
stop.
I shouldn't call him Dylan because he's not Dylan. He's a character.
Okay, but Andy going down these stairs, of course, reminding me of a certain other. I mean. And then the sound. I can't even. I have my hand up. I already. Femur break.
And that was a fun thing, and a perfect example of when Cutting Edge and our visual effects team puts together a leg break where you think, what's too much? You know, I want it to sound effects and the leg pulled back to be unrealistic or unnatural, but not so impossible.
Okay, this. Okay, David, I'm putting my hand up to you to say why.
This is so much.
So.
Did you not like Dylan as a person?
Yeah.
Okay, this is just I can't watch it.
I know
he was unresolved in the last film, and I think we needed to tell the whole story.
I know.
Well, you.
I'm not watching.
And by the way,
she put her phone in cheese. Come on, you really think he's gonna get out easy?
Away. Oh, buddy.
I know. Oh, come on.
He knew she didn't like nachos.
Ugh.
I just can't.
But it's not over, Jamie.
Thank you, Judy.
It's not over because David Gordon Green decided,
okay,
you know what needs to still happen?
I want to say that was Jim. I think on the way down the stairs, he stopped for one last snack.
I can't even. I can't.
I'm not watching this because it's awful. Oh, farts. Is it over?
No, it's not.
Oh my God.
Um,
It's still not over?
no, now it is.
Oh,
So over.
Oh, okay.
I think that's the most. But then Andy in these sequences is so. This do it when she says do it.
I know.
Do it. Do it.
Oh.
I just have goosebumps. Oh, come on, Judy.
Oh my God.
And by the way, I do love that you tagged that earlier on the stairs with those two guys with that pitchfork.
Yeah. Why don't... Oh.
Michael got curbed.
Yeah, I know. You've been curbed.
But this is a whole,
Hit my ride.
like coming up with that Karen has this plan to lure him into a baited scenario, which
I know.
maybe a little far-fetched, but it felt fun.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah, but she learned it from her mama.
I like picturing, her and Tommy come like on that drive here.
Yeah,
they came up
okay,
with whole
this
thing.
is what we're
So
gonna
I'm gonna
do.
go and stab him with a pitchfork, grab his mask, and take him.
Yeah.
You guys all be waiting down the street.
Yeah, because why don't I just kill him when he's on the stairs like that?
Because then you're going to deny.
That's no fun.
No.
It was Halloween night.
No. Also, I want to get him away from my daughter.
Yeah.
Your house.
There's
Also, he's not human.
Remember things like when you just holding the mask up outside of a human form is really challenging. Like you having to get it so that it's held just right so it doesn't look humorous. Cause
She got to do good leg acting, by the way, leg pain acting. I thought she was excellent.
Yes.
And then what amount of the shape do we see unmasked? You know, that's the thing of lighting and trying to keep lighting very discreet and him in silhouette and shadows so that we know he's walking without a mask, but it doesn't look. You don't want to see too much humanity in his face and that exposition.
Oh my God.
I mean, just that alone is as much as you would ever want to see.
Right.
Mm.
I said a boom, chicka boom. That's going to be your catchphrase for the rest of your life. Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll take it.
This was another fun, wild one-night sequence where you can actually, in some of these shots, you can actually see the sun's coming up.
I was very happy that you told me to run away.
Yeah.
I remember...
3 a.m., get your ass...
I remember you were like, turn and run.
Yeah.
Also, this is where the opera
Yeah,
really is it's at this point, David, you're conducting in a very powerful way. This is when I knew how special this movie was these last sequences. Them on the stairs, Dylan, Judy, come and get it, gotcha, and now this sort of, and then the filmmaking here is also very surreal.
Well, I'll tell you part of what's surreal about it that it was a frustration in the moment, but it turned into a real opportunity in the editing room is as I said, we lost the night and we ran out of time. So a lot of the kills that we had planned, we didn't get to achieve them. So you'll notice at a point, everything becomes a black environment that we did on stage.
Did you use that circle camera rig thing I saw?
Yeah. So we put Michael on a turntable, and it would just spin around in a darkened theater,
Like a Lazy Susan, like a giant one.
And then we just like while we're shooting the fire sequence, which was very time consuming because from a logistic and safety level, there's big gaps in the setups. We had our splinter unit 100 feet away doing some of the kills, which in their own right took setup and makeup and timing and things that you need to rehearse and prepare. So we had both of the extension of this kill scene, which it does take it to that surreal kind of heightened dramatic place. And I was confused and frustrated about how we were going to pull that off. But then again, when I see the editors that put it together so artfully, it became a real beautiful opportunity.
what he's lived through.
Yeah, I saw that set up, I think, one day when we were doing some interviews or something. Photo shoot. It was really cool.
Yeah, you got to ask yourself, well, did we get enough out of that scene? Can we edit together with what we have? Or do we just try to shoot some supplemental atmospheric and go a little theatrical? And I thought that it felt like it could.
All of this, though, is so beautiful. You can't defeat it with brute force.
And it's funny, watch, like in the moment when we're filming that, you almost feel a little empathy for Michael.
Oh, shit!
So here, anytime you don't see a background here, that's just it's a black stage with a light blasting in the background. All of these shots here. The nothing of it actually, I think, is helpful. It just takes it to a.
But come on,
David.
but it's really, it's what I'm talking about. It's the, that happy accident that actually created. I mean, it's stunning. It's gruesome, but it's gorgeous.
And you get time to linger in some of the moments and expressions a little bit. And even, another thing I'll say is incredible about the mask that Chris made is that if you light it in certain ways, you can see different expressions. Sometimes it feels very neutral and sometimes it almost is smiling. And so depending on where the camera is and how the light hits that mask, there's different versions of the shape.
How many masks were there?
2.
What?
Yeah.
There was like 17 Christmas sweaters.
But then this is so.
You're
I have
messier than
goosebumps, Judy. I have goosebumps right now. But all of this is just, to me, the gruesome exquisiteness of this movie.
You know what's funny is when I was coming here to do this today, I was trying to remember Tommy dying and I couldn't. And
Also, just the little drop of blood.
but them looking at each other like this,
Yeah.
like that moment.
Maybe we'll find him tomorrow. This is a magnificent sequence that is really disturbing. The bat. Oh, don't even. I can't.
Ew.
I mean, it's.
Yeah. And disco.
I mean, it's just. It could not have been better, and yet it was born out of, the lack of light.
Yeah. That happens so much. If you could just see yourself in the future being relieved by what in the moment you're extremely frustrated and paranoid about, I guess that's part of the task of filmmaking, is to not to be able to find the opportunity and uncertainty. And
David, you and I got in a huge fight this day. I wasn't supposed to die, and then we got in this big fight, and he decided that. Just kidding.
she didn't get on my nerves.
Yeah, but
I was bugging him.
Because he is. And I can tell you, I remember reading this.
Ugh.
And a lot of the shots getting you up the stairs are inspired by Psycho.
Yeah.
And the
This whole thing.
The death sequence as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, well, of course. And also,
The first night I got to town, we all met at that bar, and Chris Nelson told me what he figured out, and he was so excited.
but you end the movie
Yeah.
like this, David?
Lori, what is it?
I'm coming for you, Michael.
It's 100